but you are about to feel as if you are watching the David Letterman program, like the mid-90s. All you're going to be hearing about is a top 10 list. That is where we are. Do you remember this? I mean, this is what Letterman used to do every day, and it would be all over the media the next day. His hilarious top 10 list when everyone came together and said, you know what? At the end of that, those weren't really very funny, and the worst one was number one. Why does he always structure it that way? And that is really going to be the debate over the next 24 hours. In the obstruction section of the Barr press conference about the Mueller report, he identified 10 episodes in which the president was apparently directly involved in that the Mueller investigation attempted to string together through legal theory to show that there could have been a case on obstruction of justice. This top 10 list, what the situations are, how they went, what Trump did in these situations is going to be the focus of the media throughout your celebration of the resurrection of Jesus Christ this weekend. Like that is all Easter weekend. The media is going to be fascinated by this top 10 list and what Trump did in relation to this top 10 list.
My nightmare scenario, Stu, was 3 episodes. 3. That's what I was expecting. And I was like, this is going to suck because this is going to guarantee the next 1,700 years of talking about this. But 10 scenarios?
And it's 10 coming from William Barr. So it's not, this is not a media report saying 10 and then you look at it and it's really nothing. He's saying 10 episodes. Now, again, this is what you do when you're a presidential administration. And this happens at every business. This would happen on this show. If something was happening that was coming out bad, we would hope to get to you first to give you our perspective on it so you'd at least understand it before believing everybody else. We did this. I mean, this week this happened. Glenn got accused of saying something he didn't say. And the best thing we could do is come to you and say, look, this is what he did say. And here's how this works. Of course, the administration is trying to, they keep saying, oh, well, he might be setting the narrative. Of course he's trying to set the narrative. This is the way these things work. And you can sit here and say, well, he's not supposed to be doing that. That's not his job in the Department of Justice. Look, that's obviously fundamentally true. You know what else is true? The press secretary to the President of the United States works for us, not the president. You know, the person who comes out and lies to you every day. You remember the guy, it was Jay Carney in the Obama administration, came out every day and said things. And you're like, this is a blatant lie. In theory, he works for us, right? Sarah Huckabee Sanders, no friend of the media. In theory, she works for us. She's an employee of us, and she is a person who is supposed to communicate what the White House believes. We all know in these real situations in politics, people do defend their own side, and they do try to present the best case forward. But that's why I think this was interesting. I will say this. One thing that's important about this is Rosenstein's buy-in. And we'll get into that a little bit more. Rosenstein has not been a figure that has been closely associated with Trump support by any means. And the fact that he's buying in on all of this is an incredible foundation of credibility when it comes to this. This is somebody who has been at odds and had been criticized by the president. The fact that he's agreeing with Barr's analysis here is big. That's not a minor thing, and I don't want to brush over that. But the idea was there's these 10 episodes that could be viewed in the general realm of obstruction of justice. And it didn't seem like the case from Barr was that any one of these individually could be obstruction by themselves. He specifically noted that Mueller tried to tie them all together as a pattern of behavior that if you view as a whole from 50,000 feet, what you see there is obstruction of justice potentially. Again, not enough to actually think he was guilty of it, or they would have, he could have charged him. They did say that was not the reason you can't indict a sitting president. They did say that was not the reason that occurred.
And the problem, though, is obstruction is very hard to prove.
Yep.
Like, you need something that says,
it's all about intent.
Hey, guess what? I'm doing this because I want to obstruct justice.
Yeah.
You basically have to have that to do this.
Because it's a high bar and it's intent. It's intent-based. So if you do something that just happens to help the other side and you didn't mean to do it, that's not obstruction of justice. So these 10 things together are going to be the focus of the media coverage for God only knows how long.
1,700 years, I think that's what we're expecting.
And going to be the focus of multiple Democratic investigations when it comes to the House. They're not going to let this die.